Hello, and welcome back to another quick tip with Power BI.tips. We have another quick tip with us today. I'm very excited to have another PM from Microsoft on the channel. Zoe, welcome to the channel again. Zoe joins me from the DAX, not DAX team, but like the team that works on the DAX modeling things. And Zoe has got a new feature that she talked about at the end of October last month, which was DAX Query View. DAX Query View and using DAX Query View functions. I'm getting it wrong.
Info View.
I'm getting so excited about DAX Query View. I got it confused. DAX Info View functions that can be run in DAX Query View and a number of other places as well, as Zoe will show us. So Zoe, welcome. I'll stop fumbling over my words because I get too excited when you show up and demo things. So let's get you right into the screen share and just begin, and we'll get you going. Screen share is on, and you should be good to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, so as Mike said, so my name is Zoe Douglas. And so last month, not just the latest one that came out, but last month, we introduced 4 of these new info functions, right? So we released a whole bunch of info functions, which were the DAX function equivalents of all those analysis services, DMVs, for DAX Query View. Well, actually for everywhere, but
for those who don't know what DAX DMVs are, what's the acronym stand for?
Dynamic management views.
Dynamic, and that's a typical analysis and SQL Server thing that we now get as DAX users. I'm a business user. I didn't know that, and I was like, "What the heck is a DMV?" This is a cool thing.
If you'd use DAX Studio, so Darren had done this amazing tab where he lists them all out, and so that's the first time I found them. And you can run them as part of DAX queries, but they have this kind of SQL-like syntax. And when we were doing DAX Query View, like, do I want to support this kind of SQL-like syntax? And then they also had some downsides where they weren't SQL, right? So you couldn't join them, but they actually required to have joins to show some data. Because they showed, like, if you did the info.columns or info.measures, it would reference the table ID instead of showing the table name. Right. And so one of the things when we first looked at this was I'd really like to have a version of at least a few of them where we go ahead and expand out all those enums called the enumerations, the ID to just say what it is. Don't give me a number. Just tell me what it is. Don't tell me it's data type 14. Just tell me what data type it is.
I mean, I know what that is. I'm not sure everyone else will know what that is.
Exactly. We kind of all know what data type 14 is. I have no idea. And so we have, so last month we actually did it. So one of my amazing engineers, Jeffrey Wang, he came and said, "Oh, hey, I got these working." And I'm like, "That's awesome." So we put these out. Awesome. Now these are really, so not only do these a little bit more human readables, right? Here's the info.view tables. You can see it says the name, data category says what it is. We have if it's hidden, right? And then the storage mode of the table. This is my direct link model. Now, the other thing you can do with these that people were very disappointed that you couldn't do with the other info functions was use them in a calculated table inside the model. So it'd be self-documenting model, right? And so
that was me. That was me. I'm like, I would love, this is great, but I need to put it in my model because I need to use it again later. I love this. Okay.
Exactly. So we have 4. So we have the info.view, so tables, we have relationships. Now relationships has this really cool, I don't know, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Sorry.
If you don't mind, zoom in. This would be great to see it a little bit bigger on this page.
I have it really zoomed out. Oh, okay, too far. Go back.
Yeah, a bit too much. There we go. This is perfect.
Too far. Okay, so here you can see the relationships, measures, and then columns. All right, so this is great. So this is from the blog, but let's go actually see it in action. All right, so here I have my workspace. I have my AdventureWorks. It's my import model. I have a direct link model here, and I can show you kind of work on both. Right, so I've actually, this is my direct link. So let me just close this guy.
And the screens the screens are coming in a little bit slower, Zoe. So just make sure if you get to a page, just hang out there just for a second or two while it kind of buffers and loads in there crisp. So
good to know. Yep, so here's my import model. This is AdventureWorks. If I right click on it, I get the option to open the data model, which I'm going to do in a minute. But first, I'm going to actually write DAX queries. I'm going to show you kind of what these look like on this model and how you can run them in DAX Query View in the web. Now, if you're in Power BI Desktop, you have DAX Query View there. So it runs the exact same way. And if you're live connected in Power BI Desktop, you won't be able to run it just yet, which is really sad. We wanted to include that scenario, but that's coming hopefully soon. Right, so now I'm in DAX Query View. I can run DAX queries. There's my sample query. But let me show you kind of. Let me zoom in just a smidgen. There we go. And I'm going to do so evaluate. And then if I come here and I say info.view, now we can see those new functions available. So let's go see what they look like before, right? So let's do tables. This is before, and then what I can do is I can come in here and do another evaluate statement. Oops. I know the overeager IntelliSense. I have a fix coming for that eventually.
It is a bit aggressive. It is a bit aggressive sometimes. I have to get my hand. I have to remember keep my finger on the escape key when I start typing something. Sometimes, yes.
Except I have my head on the control enter, right? Yes. And then I'm in Excel or Teams, and it's not.
Yes, it doesn't work because we're
control enter sends an email.
Yes. This is now what notebook. Problems, right? This is what notebook problems does. I do the same thing everywhere. I want to do is control enter or shift enters now to make new lines for things, just because I'm getting, bad habits, I guess.
Exactly. Okay, so here's the original one, the info.tables, right? So you can see we have the model, except we have this model ID, and then we have, so we have ID, which is fine. That's just the ID of the column.
Sure.
But then we also have system flags, I don't care.
So info tables is the original DMV of tables. And so it doesn't have all the really rich results that you can now add.
Yeah, so now this is the second result, which is info table. So now you can come in and it says, we have a storage mode. It says import. You're just limited. You can see the
storage mode 14.
Now,
okay, got it. Yep. Yes.
Right. And so you're actually losing some columns, but you're adding more kind of richness and the kind of stuff you're interested in.
I love it
as well. Right. And so let's go take a look at relationships. One is probably the most what do you call
different?
Different. Yeah.
Enhanced, improved, I guess.
Yeah. So here we see my relationship, and it is type 1. It's cross filtering 1. Join number date 1
from table 14.
We have from A to 14.
Yeah.
Right.
Who knows what that is?
So I have a query in my blog where I go and I don't have a blog open, but I have a very large 200-line query where I go and sort all this out and make it do that. But now you just do it in one line, and now you come in here.
Look at this. Wow.
And I can see I have it. We built a kind of shorthand version.
Love it.
And we have all this stuff. Okay, so this is really cool. So you can run this on any table in my model, and I can run this on direct lake, I can run on direct query, I can run it on import, all the things. And you can also now, but as I said, you can create them as calculated tables. So let's go take a look at that. Right. So here I'm going to go into my data model. So here I'm in the web modeling experience, and I can create a new table. So, and then I can call it, say, X tables. Oops, I have my caps lock on. So equals info.view. So if I did the info.tables, we would get a sad error message that says you cannot use this here. But now we can do info.view tables, and we are able to see it. Now, if you're in desktop, obviously you have a table view, and you can see that here. For this one, we'd have to come back, and I'm going to have to get this to update. So I'll show you a quick way. You can refresh the screen, but then you'll lose your queries, which is sad. But I can show you now how you can actually evaluate, and then I can say, I can try and make a change here. So times 2, we'll say update, and it's going to say update, but it's going to kick me back. Now it's going to get something went wrong. Now this is kind of a scary error. You're like, oh no, I've broken something, but it's actually not scary. What it's telling you is it just can't apply that model change because it detected that the state of my model here was actually out of sync with that latest model change I did. When I hit close, it's just going to, it's not going to kill anything. It's just going to not make that change. But now I should see my new table.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So it just kind of re-grabbed the new definition of the model.
Exactly. So we're working on trying to get that a little less scary because it is very scary, I think. And then I come back in. So now you can see that my calculated table is working just fine.
Look at that.
And it's in my model. So what's cool about this is now it's going to keep in sync. So as I make model changes, I update things. I don't have to go update the documentation. The documentation is built in. and the documentation will keep up to date, right? So that's really cool. And then,
and this
so
is also, does the table name, is there descriptions that are, so I know table names have descriptions. Is that also included in that function?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Right here. Right here, you see the description. If I add a description, let's go back to, I just closed that. Let me go
That's
back
okay.
to my
I was just making sure the
model.
description part was there, because that's really the important thing when we're talking about documentation for me, is I'm really interested in, okay, is there a name of the table and does it have a description? Those should be like kind of given pieces. And this is, I think, a technique where doing documenting inside the model should be its own documentation. Describe what you're building. Put table names, descriptions, measure names, all the description. This makes sense now because now you can keep everything in one central spot.
Exactly. So it looks like I can't add a table description in here, but that's okay. So let's do this. This is my this is the order shipped country. Right. Obviously that's the worst description known to man. Okay, but I'll add it in there. So we're all right, so this is my direct lake semantic model, right? And so you'll see I can't add a new table, which is sad. But I can actually add that in a notebook. So I'm going to go over to my notebook. So in a notebook, you can run DAX queries. So like here's that import model I was just looking at. I can run a query. I can even run that DAX. So I can add that info view function. I can run it here and show it in a data frame if I want to do it that way. And then also I'm going to try and add into my direct lake semantic model that info.view table. So let's see if this will run. So this is using the semantic. So these queries up here are just using the SemPy, the semantic link. And you can run any query that you can run in DAX Query View. You can run it in a notebook. And also you can do semantic link labs. So this is being, so you have to install it. So that's what this pip install semantic link labs. This is Michael Skowalski is running this. And then you can do really cool things, right? You can actually build an entire semantic model in Notebook. You can add things to it, including Direct Lake. You can migrate and import semantic model over to Direct Lake. It's very, very cool. But for this one, I'm just doing very simple. I am going to go and try and add this calculated table with my info view.tables and refresh my semantic model, which looks like it's already made the change. It didn't throw an error and it's going to refresh it. All right, so we're done. So that was what, I don't know, 23 seconds flat.
Love it.
So now I'm going to go back here. And again,
you're going to see. I want to actually jump in here. I want to jump in a question from the audience here. The audience says, Donald is asking, really likes this. Says this is really neat for doing quick changes. Would there be any chance of doing quick changes inside VS Code instead of having to be on the web, connecting to a model? Now, I'm going to maybe throw in a little bit of my answer here, and Zoe, you can correct me if I'm wrong here.
I have no idea.
DAX Query View doesn't work in VS Code at this time. It's kind of a service and Power BI desktop only thing. But in notebooks, I believe you can run a notebook connected to the service, and you should be able to run if you're doing this, you could. How do I say this? I'm stumbling my words. You can use a notebook that is connected to Power BI, the service, which does talk to the XML endpoint, which does have the info functions available to you to start scripting things. Is that right? I said a lot of words there.
I think so, yes. So that's my understanding as well. I don't know, haven't tried it. Try it and let us know. I know it runs in the Fabric Notebook, and I know you can use the Fabric Notebook in VS Code. It has a button, I believe.
It does, and I've been testing that on my own, and I've been having some mixed results. It was like getting it to work very well, but it seemed like the team is really working hard to make sure that this is going to be a premium feature. And the nice part is you can do VS Code in your desktop, or you can do VS Code in the web. So if you like just in general being around VS Code, you can just pop over to another browser page and get full VS Code experiences with all of your add-ins or extensions that you like to have already there.
Exactly. So here I'm going to add in columns because I added my description of my columns. Sure. So I'm going to add in that one as well. But so this is like really easy, right? I can just go ahead and add this.
Walk us through this code. What's going on here?
Yeah, so here I have imported the labs. I added this stuff. I think I don't need this one just right now, but I think we have to connect it. This was for something else I was doing, but I think these two are the top ones. Sure. And I specified the name. So I don't have anything. I have a lake house connected over here. And I'm just saying, with the connected semantic model, and I give it the semantic model name, and I specify read only as false. So I want to make changes to it.
Yep.
Then I just say add a calculate table. This is the name, and that's the expression.
Awesome.
Right. So then I'm adding that calculate table, and then what I'm doing is in Labs has this option to refresh a semantic model. So then I'm pushing up a refresh after that.
It's simple to read. And the only
10
thing
seconds.
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to just note here is, line number 13 with that with statement. With is kind of like opening the connection string for you. So that's kind of like right? Is that kind of what that means as well?
So here in my GitHub, I have one where I actually create an entire semantic model from, I have 2 notebook examples. So the first one is I create a lake house from scratch, right? So I have this, it creates it, populates with data, and then with that structure, I then create the semantic model. I mark a date table, I add the relationships, I add measures, I add dynamic format strings for my measure, I update my columns, I give them formats, I sort them,
This is great for testing.
add calc tables. Yeah, so I can spin these up as much as I want. And then calc items. What else do I do? I think that's it. And then I add a hierarchy because I was just trying to think of everything I could possibly do.
Yeah, because you got to test
and then I refresh it. Exactly. So, and this runs very fast. And then I come back. So now I'm come back to, let's see where I'm at. I am in my import model. So let's go back to my workspace. Actually, I'm going to go, I'm going to flip over to this guy. So I'm in my direct link model. Now I showed this really quickly while you were talking earlier, Mike, right? So I just added that table in I added a second calc table in the notebook. I come back to my web modeling experience. And if I already had it open, it's not going to be updated until I try to make a modeling change. Right. So I'm just gonna, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, actually try and, I could just come in here. I'm just going to go to one of my measures and I'm going to try and change something. I know it's not going to work. So again, I get that message. It says, hey, we've noticed that you don't have the latest thing. Close this. It'll update it. And now I see that second column, second table that I added.
Okay. I see what's going on now. Okay. So it's basically just kind of caching things a little bit. And it's not really identifying, hey, go get a new definition.
Exactly. And so now I'm going to go back to my workspace and I'm going to go to that direct link semantic model.
I like your diagram here. You're using the flow. It's great.
Yeah, it's just to organize my entire workspace.
I love
That's
it.
all
it's
I'm
so
using
good.
it for. I'm like,
I think I put everything.
Exactly. So I have all my notebooks and my one lake integration, everything like that. So here I have tables, right? So now I can come in and I can say top 100 rows.
Boom.
Right. And now I can see that I have my direct link tables. I have my import tables.
Nice.
And then if I do top 100 rows here, you'll see that I have on one of these, there it is. So this is that description I just added into.
There it is, right there. Wonderful.
Right? And so I don't have to have these in my model, right? I can always just come into, if they're not in the model, that's just for self-documenting for others. But if I wanted to, I can always just run them. Right. So now I can run the relationships one on my direct link semantic model. I can see my relationships and see what's happening. So that's really it. So those are the info.view functions.
Great.
And a really quick demonstration of DAX Query View in the web. And obviously DAX Query View has a lot of features, right? You can evaluate, you can modify your measures, you can
we love it. It's so good. It's getting better and better the more you do it.
Yeah. So, and then you can have quick queries and all this stuff. So, but that's pretty much it. So try it out. Let me know what you think. Hopefully it makes your documentation life a little bit easier.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is something that people have been asking for. I love the fact that you delivered this so fast. And I gave a good shout out to Jeffrey in the chat. So make sure you go find Jeffrey on LinkedIn. That's the gentleman who came up with all these new DAX functions and queries. And so that is the enabler that allows us to get this now as auto documenting. So now you're no more complaining. You now have a simple function that will auto document your models. Zoe, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it on a Friday afternoon, jumping in with us and doing a quick video around this. This is a great feature. Let us know when you have more great features coming out. We would love to have you present again and do more details with you and exploring more around DAX and things that you're building. Thank you so much, everyone.